All right, welcome to day number 5. As you can see, I decided to dress up a little bit today. Actually wear some pants and a long sleeve shirt. No particular reason, just wanted to look like a dad. But yes, today was another interesting day, actually. My legs this morning were somewhat kind of sore. Like I had described in yesterday's video, I had a slight, I wouldn't call it soreness, but I wouldn't call it aching. But I definitely woke me up in the morning. I just felt like it was, I don't know, like flexing the muscle, mostly my quads, seemed to help alleviate some of the symptoms I was having. What it is exactly, I still really don't know. But we'll see whether or not this sort of thing continues. It's nothing that's crippling pain. Like I said before, it goes away once I wake up, move around, do my morning routines and things like that. But it is interesting to see that this is even happening. But in a way, I'm happy because one of my main concerns for this routine was that there's literally no lower body work. So by flexing the muscles, keeping the knees slightly bent and flexing does seem to bring the legs into play, at least to the degree that I'm feeling something in the mornings. And again, I do these workouts late at night, so that probably has something to do with what I'm feeling. But as you can see, the numbers are actually starting to rise now. Starting off with 70 bicep curls. Near the end of these, I would say I'm definitely feeling something. So tomorrow for day number 6, doing 75 curls, I definitely think I'll be feeling something. Wearing all these clothes also, near the end of my workout, I was really hot. I was actually starting to break a sweat. That was the first time that I've done that at all since doing this workout. Just trying to keep an even pace doing all of these reps, especially with the curls. That's one thing Sandow says, to kind of build a rhythm. I'm not entirely sure if I'm going too slow or too fast doing these. Mostly my mind is concentrating on just getting a good flex in, especially near the top. I'm still somewhat playing with the angles, doing these curls. I think midway through this set, I kind of realized that putting the elbow, like locking out the elbow, seemed to give me a good little stretch at the bottom and just seemed to engage the muscle a little bit more. That was something I wasn't entirely conscious of when I was doing this the first 4 days. But this 5th day, the curls were definitely getting hard. I think I finished them a little bit faster than the day before, so that's good. More curls in less time. Good progress. During the rest of these exercises, I do try to focus on keeping my trunk upright and straight, so keeping the chest popped out, the shoulders back, down, trying not to shrug my shoulders, and just overall just trying to be stiff. I mean, with this light weight, there's nothing that's really challenging you. So keeping your body as tense and tight as possible is definitely something that needs to happen if you want to see any kind of gains. At least that's my thoughts on this at the moment, since I'm not really sure I have any muscle growth. Again, it's only day 5, so that's something that you can't really expect to, grow an inch on your biceps in 5 days. It's just not really going to happen. So in about 10 more days, I think that might be a reasonable point to do some more measurements and see where I'm at. As far as some of the other exercises, the shoulder press is one that is very interesting because when you do presses, at least normal presses, I would say the modern day shoulder press, the arms are to the side and the elbows are tucked in, sort of like you're doing a pull-up. And then you keep your arms as sort of lateral as possible. With these, having the elbows in front, almost like you're doing a neutral grip pull-up, something about that, or maybe it's just the way that I'm executing the exercise, I feel it really in my lats, not so much in my shoulders. I try to flex my shoulders as much as I can, but for some reason, it's just the entire back feels like it's doing most of the work. I don't know if that's because it's the neutral grip versus the pronated grip of most normal presses I'm used to doing. Not really sure. But that's just one thing that I've noticed so far. And then as the reps are going up, I'm feeling it more and more in that area near the end of those exercises. Somewhat same with the front raises. Again, those, when you typically do those with weight, because your arm is straight out, the leverage of the weight is placing a lot of stress on your shoulders, particularly your front delts. But again, with 2.4 pounds, there's hardly anything to push down to create any kind of mechanical disadvantage. But that's just what I'm noticing. Maybe it's just bringing the whole body into play that I'm getting those muscles really working. I don't know. Just an interesting thought. The lunge punches are getting a little easier. They were never hard, but I'm still playing around with the technique. From what I've seen from the pictures, they're mostly a side movement. Again, the closest I can describe it is like a 70 or a 45-degree angle lunge, and then with the punch added. I do try to do it fast, but I also try to keep it. Whenever I throw the punch, it's not really like a boxer's punch, but it's just a straight, punch. And when I'm bringing it back into the starting position, I do kind of try to flex. Again, I'm not really sure what muscles these are supposed to work. The only thing I can somewhat think is in the obliques. Is you're doing some kind of rotation, so that's a probably pretty good benefit. But here you can see me doing the shoulder press, which I was talking about earlier, where you really keep your arms close to the side instead of out in line with your shoulders. They're more in front of you. So that's definitely doing something, and I'm feeling it. Or perhaps I'm creating a feeling. I think once I actually get some weight to actually push against, I'll be feeling it in the correct places. But it is interesting to be able to recruit your lats, to recruit some of your core even into pressing. And as I've said, and as you'll see in a little bit, the push-ups with bands is just getting more and more tough. As I said in the first video, I'm not an amazing push-up artist. However, I'm doing my best, and I just do some pauses with the band in the starting position of the push-up. Again, the band itself isn't really applying that much pressure to my neck, so when I'm in that position, it's not too difficult. Although when I'm cranking out the last few reps, it really is putting my shoulders into a really good burn, something that Sandow says you're probably not supposed to do, but I just don't see how I can really give up on these when I know that I can crank them out. And I don't know. The past few days I've been cranking them out and not really experiencing any soreness or any negative effects in my shoulders or triceps, really. So as far as I can tell right now, it's okay to push yourself. And you're doing these every day, so I imagine that the motor pattern is getting ingrained further and further. At least for me. And perhaps if you're someone who can really grind out a lot of push-ups, you may not have any trouble with that. But for now, the push-ups absolutely is the hardest exercise. One other thing to note is the side bends. I believe in the first and second day, mentioned that I was experiencing some soreness in my lower lats, sort of like near the spinal rectors, but more to the outside. I have to say that I don't really feel that anymore. Even though I am doing 33 reps today, and I believe it was 31 reps yesterday, that part of my core just really isn't that sore. I don't really have any back pain. When I first started, I sort of was having, I wouldn't really call it a pain, but it was a slight fatigue for sure, and an unfamiliar movement pattern. But now, I really don't think I'm all that sore. I think perhaps some of that has to do with me sleeping a little bit more. So this is on a Saturday, so I did get to sleep in and sleep early on Friday, so maybe having enough time to actually rest and recover the muscles helped somewhat. As far as any other soreness or soreness that carries on day to day, there's really none. Just the legs in the morning, and now my core just isn't really, or my back, lower back just isn't really all that sore anymore. So my body is slowly adapting to all of these reps. Again, not that they're really all that difficult. The only one perhaps that is really high reps is the bicep curls. I am interested in finding out how these high reps over many, many days is going to affect my joints. One thing that I've seen or heard about, not experienced myself, but people who do a lot of pull-ups or even push-ups, they can get sort of like a tennis elbow or an overuse from doing all of these exercises day in, day out, and just doing lots of high reps. So I'm a little bit concerned about that, but at the same time, I think, especially if you're doing pull-ups with a supinated grip, I think unless you're doing it with really good form, it's more likely that you're stressing your joints at an angle or just probably not really all that strong at. So my thinking is that because I'm using such a light weight, again, it's the weight's not really stressing my muscles as much as my actual concentration and flexing those muscles myself. So, and the weight's just not that high, and I'm doing high reps and adding slowly over time. My thought is that my tendons, my ligaments are getting stronger slowly over time. I'm not really adding weight every workout. I'm not adding weight every week. I mean, this is a long and slow process where the only progressive overload you're doing is reps, and they're manageable steps. Perhaps the only one, again, is what's pictured here, is the band push-ups. But I still am able to grind them out. I'm not hurting, and I'm keeping my elbows tucked in as much as I can to really focus on the triceps. Now, I used to do a lot of dips, body weight and weighted dips, so you see me throwing the band there, excited. But I used to do a lot of that movement, so my triceps aren't necessarily weak, but this specificity of training with push-ups just, I never really did. So overall, in the overuse thing, I'm really not all that concerned because I'm moving so slowly through all of these, and the stress that I'm feeling really isn't in my joints, it's just in my muscles. So we'll see. If I feel like I'm having any kind of overuse or tennis elbow or anything like the carpal tunnel, I will report that and consider maybe stopping the program. But I don't see that being an issue. Definitely not at this point in this cycle. So maybe once I do my actual first cycle with about 5 pounds of weight, then maybe if there's any issues, then those will probably arise. But I think doing this cycle 0, this preparatory cycle, I think it'll get my joints ready, my body able to handle these high repetitions. Certainly mentally, going through this once will make it a lot easier to finish in the end. So, yeah, I think once I'm actually on the first true cycle, mentally I'll know, oh, I can do 120 bicep curls and 50 or 40 something push-ups. So it won't be that difficult. I'll know that I'll be able to do it, and the 2-pound increase probably isn't going to feel that hard, but who knows? 120 reps at 2.4 pounds versus 120 reps at 5.5 pounds. It will be a difference. It's definitely a difference. But until we get to that point, I can't make any decisive comments or statements. Right now, it's just running through the program and seeing how I feel. So if you found this video or this series informative, intriguing, inspiring, leave a like, a comment for any questions. I'm absolutely open to answering any questions that you may have. And subscribe so you can continue on with me on my journey, this strange experiment. And I will see you guys tomorrow.